up? What's up?
Good afternoon, good evening. It is Tuesday, April 29th. Progressively Becoming Studios on Instagram, on Facebook,
Just making sure we sound okay.
and on YouTube. We are here tonight to get it popping. It's been a while. Ty and Cass here for the takeover.
What's up, guys? How you feel,
That's it? That's what you got for us?
bro? When I tell you the lack of energy that I have today, why are you pointing? I can see it. You
Just
know,
keep looking
I'm just
down.
thrown off because I'm usually on that side, so it's like I have to adjust now, and there's a lot going on. But the tired that I'm feeling, I just can't explain it. I'm just very tired, but I'm here nonetheless.
We are here tonight to get it popping. So make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. Tag people to let them know that we're on the air every Tuesday, end of the month of every end of the month Tuesday. Every Tuesday at the end of the month.
Oh my
The
god.
end of the month. Tuesday.
Honestly, just let it go. We
Ah,
do
we're
this
here
every last Tuesday of each month.
every last Tuesday of each month. We got break. What's the breaking news?
We don't
Because
have
that's important to
breaking
me.
news.
Can you? I saw some ESPN breaking news.
Are
Is
you
that?
serious? Spurs,
Oh,
Stephon
Stephon
Castle
Castle
wins
wins
NBA Rookie of the
Rookie
Year.
of the Year. So shout out to Pastor Jamel Tony. Stephon Castle wins the Rookie of the Year for the San Antonio Spurs. That's like about all he has to celebrate post Tim Duncan. So shout out to Pastor Jamel Tony. But we are rocking tonight. Got a bunch of stuff to get to. So make sure you tag friends. Tell people that we're on the air right now. Progressively Becoming Studios. That is Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm at Ty D Butler. You are.
Progressively Becoming Studios.
You don't want to share your
No,
other.
I don't be on Instagram.
Okay. Ty D Butler, so make sure you give me a follow. A lot to do tonight. The first thing I want to get to is the pros and cons of social media. And I think this is what
I didn't even know that was a
the
topic.
internet was supposed to be.
Awkward.
The pros and the cons. What it was supposed to be versus what it actually is.
Mm.
Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed what's happened the last couple of days, but there's a certain topic that has taken the internet by storm. And it's this idea that if we gathered 100 humans and we all were like in sync, focused, ready for the challenge, we could defeat a gorilla. Is that something that you believe?
Um, Part of me wants to say yes because I think like you think about the numbers like 100 versus 1, but then I'm like thinking about how strong a gorilla is and how dumb humans are. Probably not.
I think this is one of those conversations that has exposed just how dumb our society is. The fact that we're actually entertaining people could defeat a gorilla is like the peak, the height of just stupidity. Because obviously, there's no chance that that could happen. But it's funny to see people all riled up and engaged. There are articles being written about it. Talk shows are doing it. You have uh, these different news outlets doing research. I came across this, and this is pretty cool. So the CEO, the president, and the chief scientific officer for the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund has this. Gorillas can weigh more than 400 pounds. They are estimated to be between 4 to 10 times as strong as the average human.
I mean, I also read that they can lift up to 1,800 to 2,000 pounds and run up to 25 miles per hour.
There's like no chance we got. And I love people talking about strategy. You know what Mike Tyson, one of his most renowned quotes is, everyone has a plan until they get knocked out. So just imagine 100 of us are together trying to defeat this gorilla. 5 seconds into that, 10 people are dead. What's the reaction that's like?
Everybody's going to go in complete panic
Everybody's
mode.
going crazy. Everybody is like going ape bleep. So the idea that we could all strategize and do this and accomplish that against this gorilla is so stupid. I think it has exposed how dumb people are in society. But it's fun. I love it because it's trending.
I read that humans have like longer stamina, so like technically they can outlast a gorilla. They could win, but like 20 people would have to die in order for that to happen.
So what do you guys think about this? Um I don't want to alienate folks because I keep using the word dumb and that's not the nicest thing you want to do. But what do y'all think about this conversation when it comes to gorillas? can we actually get 100 people in society to defeat a gorilla? We have a hard time agreeing on anything. We can't even decide whether we think the earth is flat or round.
That's
You think
true.
that we can get into a room and successfully defeat a gorilla? Like, that would be a
And then
monumental upset.
I think the story or the scenario was if they had to be people who were untrained, like just average Americans, would they be able to defeat a gorilla? And thinking about like all of that, like a gorilla who weighs as much as we said it weighed, he can lift up to 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. So how like an average person weighs how much? Like 200?
You think that average
No.
person weighs 200 pounds?
Well, in America that might be true.
No, there's
Okay,
no
like
chance.
150, 130.
Well, we can
I don't,
actually.
I don't know.
The average person weighs the. Wow, you actually nailed it. The
Oh.
average weight for a man is 199.8, while the average weight for a woman is 170. But we know there are more women than men.
Yeah,
So if we're
but
just averaging out men and women, it's gonna be closer to 170 than it is 200.
But you would want more. I feel like you would expect more men to be fighting the gorilla than women.
Why not? Were you anti-women?
I'm not anti-woman, but you want to be a man, go be a man and fight this gorilla.
I don't. Yeah.
See, look, Pastor Tony goes, count me out. I'm sitting right here, so I'm with her. Good luck finding 100 people. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting conversation to have. It's the same thing as like there was another one that went around about women choosing the bear or the man. You have you heard about that one?
Yeah, I saw that.
And what are your thoughts? That's just you think it's stupid?
What was it? Fighting?
No, like if they were going into like a forest or something and they came across a man or a bear, which would they feel safer with?
Yeah, but it was like basically in combat. Like, who do you feel more comfortable? It's ridiculous. You
So
feel safer with a bear than
I
you do
think
a
it was just to
man.
highlight how like men are just like animals and you can't trust them. But you
And
can't
what?
trust
So
a
if
gorilla.
men are animals, then what's a bear?
They're not 100% like vicious. Like if you don't provoke them, I think they'll do good.
Yeah.
Same thing for they said the same thing about the gorilla. That gorillas are like they're usually peaceful, but they're only gonna come at you if they feel provoked.
Exactly. But if you're
Well,
gathered
yes,
by
but
the
I'm saying
100 to
yes, but
attack
that's
the
not what we're talking. We're
bear,
talking about the one-on-one. If I go into a forest, who would I rather see? A guy, a man,
or a bear,
bear.
you'd feel more comfortable if you saw
I
a bear.
never gave my answer.
Okay, so answer the question. Who would you feel more comfortable? You go into a forest. You feel more comfortable if you saw what?
I don't know.
Come on, guys. I think this is where like people get bored, so they come up with like random.
I don't think it's
dumb
boredom. I
topics.
think people were talking about just how unsafe men are and how like men are just wild.
And if men are wild, what are bears?
I think I'm not hitting it the way that I'm supposed to, but
that
I
makes
think
no
no.
sense.
The whole thing was talking about men being like, men being rapists and pedophiles and all this and how they just do things to women. No.
And what are
bear is not gonna do that to a woman. They're gonna just kill them. It's gonna be a quick death. The
Okay.
man is gonna like torture.
But the
woman.
argument has to be
That's
that
what the
literally
argument was.
every man would do that. No
So you're
one
saying-
feels like every single man would do it. This is where like probability comes into place. The probability is whether it's most men or half the men are not going to harm you. There is like a 0% chance you're gonna come across a bear and feel more comfortable than coming across a man. That
Says
makes
the
no
man
sense.
speaking.
But name the or tell me the valid argument for walking into a forest and saying, you know what, if there's one thing that I'd rather see, it's a bear over a man. Like that doesn't even come out your mouth.
Joy
It makes
Taylor said
sense.
that on her podcast with
Yeah,
Tim Brooks.
it was dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb.
uh,
I'm sorry. That's
okay.
dumb. Does anybody agree with that?
Well, she obviously.
Anybody in the
moving
chat?
on.
Anybody in the chat agree with that? Because I can't pull up the chat for some reason. Anybody in the chat?
Nobody agrees with it, but nobody actually has anything to say about it.
That's what.
Jamal
Wow.
said, what are we talking about? Fighting bears that's supposed to be animals?
If the question is, if you walk into the forest, what would you rather see? Would you rather see a man or would you rather see a bear?
But you're looking at it from the perspective that you're a grown man who has muscles. We're talking about a woman. Maybe you can't answer the question because you're not a woman, and you're like, oh, it's stupid to think like that. It's not stupid.
A
People
bear.
have had
This
experiences
is
that
one
make
of the
them feel more
most.
comfortable with animals than they do with
But
people.
what experience would you have ever had with a bear that made you feel more
None, but it just goes to show the intensity of what you experience with a man.
You know, it's dumb.
But you're not you laughing like it's funny. You're
No, it's dumb.
okay. Let's move on then since it's so dumb.
A bear. All right. One of the other things. So I came across this as I was driving the other day, and it might low key be a cultural thing with the Latin community and the Black community. And it was like, you know, what were some nicknames that you were given growing up based on insecurities? So my mind immediately goes to like, you know, Flaca, Flaco.
Oh, they did that
Gordo.
in your house?
Not in my house, but like, you know, growing up in Bushwick, being like surrounded by that.
I actually have a gorda and a gordo and a flaco in my family.
And that's for all of our non-Spanish
Oh, non-speaking Spanish. Everybody knows what this is, but it's just like if you're fat,
or Flaca, Flaco would be skinny.
Yeah.
So what
I
are
found some other ones that I
Well, yeah, what are some nicknames that you personally
Or you know of.
experienced or you know of that were given to people growing up based on whether it's a physical attribute or, you know, anything that they could have been made to feel insecure about? You got any?
For me personally, yes, I actually was called. Well, I don't think it really. Now it doesn't feel like something like I feel insecure about, but at the time, if you guys know, like I'm Puerto Rican, and in my family, I'm like one of the or probably the darkest skin, and then you're probably looking at me like, oh, like you're not even dark skin. Anyway, in my family, I have so many people of different like skin tones, and so I have people who have blue eyes and green eyes and light skin, and I was the one. And when I was younger, I was actually darker, and so sometimes I used to get referred to as like prieta, which means like dark skin. Now it
Ooh,
doesn't seem like
that feels racist.
yeah, but that's like a thing in Hispanic cultures, like the darker skinned people, and also Pocahontas. I was called Pocahontas too, which is cute, but it's also like a term for like Indian, and for someone who wasn't Indian, I was like, why are they saying that? But it ended up being like a term of endearment, and they even when they called me Prieta, it wasn't something that was like they're coming at me. It was more like a term of endearment in the Spanish community.
How about like Four Eyes?
That's something that I feel like in elementary school they do.
Yeah, Four Eyes is one of them.
Or like refer to someone based on their physical attributes. Like if you have a big head, they will call you like cabezona, which means like big-headed person. If you have big ears, they would just call you by like your ears, hate ears, or something like that. Did you get any personal ones? Like you didn't.
Nah, not really, but it was just me having like, you know, witnessed it or heard it from other people. Well, we got bring it off in the chat. Anybody with any interesting comments?
Your mom
to
says
say?
4 eyes. I'm getting that we sound low on YouTube. I'm low. Is it because I'm away from the microphone?
Uh,
My volume is up.
we up.
Am I here?
We gotta
Y'all
just
hear
talk a
me?
little bit louder. We gotta talk loud. Buck teeth, that's a good one. Buck
4
teeth.
eyes.
Bullfrog, because I had a heavy voice.
Oh, don't do my
Sister
girl.
Carter.
Don't do my girl
Oh
like that.
nah, come on, that's dirty. No, that's nasty. Don't do that.
crazy. I want
Um,
to hear some other ones.
yeah, let us know. How about? So I got a couple that aren't actually like things that were, you know, insecurities, but there are certain times
What if
where
I hold the mic?
Go ahead.
I think I'm gonna hold it.
there are certain times where nicknames come because of situations. So I don't, without revealing too much, there was a gathering that we had. We had a gathering at church, and after this function, you know, there was food. You know, they wanted to feed people. So at one point, there was a
Bro.
roach found in someone's food.
Ew.
So this person was always referred to as Roach Lady.
Oh, that's so deep. That's a terrible one to be.
Yeah, that's
Referred
bad.
to as?
But I don't know if she ever knew that this was her nickname.
I'm sure she didn't.
Because
That's you would
that's
never
massive
go back to that
disrespect.
church. Or how about based on someone like the way they smell, like call somebody onions?
Ew, that's
Oh, look
terrible.
who's coming, onions.
Oh, that's we watched this show, General Hospital, and we have a nickname for someone on the show called Ozempic. We call her Ozempic
Oh yeah,
because
that's mean though.
she got Ozempic.
She definitely did, and she denied it at first.
At
So
first,
for
she
those of you who
denied it.
don't know, Ozempic is like the it's typically used for diabetics, but everybody's using it now in like
A way
Hollywood
to
to
lose
lose weight
weight.
fast.
To
I'm
lose
about to get
weight.
on that Ozempic.
Yeah, so
Is
they're
it
saying
me?
that you should put the mic down because it's
Lordy,
becoming
I think this
staticky.
is just so much
I think you
chaos.
just gotta project your voice. 'Cause-
I'm la.
yeah, just project your voice or sit closer to the microphone.
There's nowhere else to go. There's no space here. Your legs are wide open.
Or put your leg down like how I have mine. Yeah.
You need to have one of those screens that's like, be right back, like interruption.
But yeah, Ozempic is a big
Oh,
one.
she know who we was talking about. Yes,
Come on.
it was her.
You don't gotta blow her up like that in the chat. What if she's watching?
Oh please, I'm sure. I'm so sure. And there was another one, I think. Couch.
Oh, couch. Couch was another one.
Snaggletooth.
Couch, but couch was because we got to give context whenever we give nicknames so people know what we're talking about. Couch was given to someone who was of the big variety. So a person nicknamed this person Couch, symbolizing like you're so big I could lay on you
That's
and
OG.
you're comfortable. So
Oh my god. Okay. Apparently we're doing the most, so.
yeah. All right, we got to get on to. I think you should. We're gonna do some on air.
We should have done
technical.
like some. Yeah,
You
we
gotta
should have
put
done that
the-
before because
you
this is
gotta put-
this is the first time we're recording from our new place, so that's why things are a little bit.
You got to put the screen here so that you're not going off camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but So you want me to get on you? Are you a couch?
But I'm just saying, like, leave it here, leave it on the inside track
Oh my
so
God.
that you're not going off screen. All right.
Shout out to you guys for staying with us.
So benchmark segments. We told y'all last time that we were going to every week we come on, discuss a scripture that we feel might be misinterpreted amongst the masses. So today's scripture comes to us courtesy of Proverbs 22:6. This is one that is important to a lot of us because we have children. This is one that I often will go to. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So my question initially becomes, if I am the perfect parent, like I'm batting 10 out of 10 on parenthood, does that mean my child is never going to depart? Does that mean that my child is 100% going to stay on the right path, never deviate, because I, as a parent, did everything possible to put my child in position to be, successful, prosperous, and spiritually aware? Does that mean that? Because the scripture says, if you train up a child in the way he should go, even when he's old, he would not depart from it. So if I did everything perfectly,
Well, you
does that
can't be
mean
perfect, so.
that my child is never going to deviate?
No, I think that you're the way that you raise your child isn't gonna determine how their life is gonna go because they have their own path. So I think that you can do things however you do them, and whatever is meant for your child to experience, that's what's gonna happen, regardless of your influence. I mean, you can influence them for sure, but I think like if it was just meant for them to deviate and come back at a later time, like that's just how it's supposed to be.
Because parents lack the authority to provide salvation and liberty for kids.
Right.
It's not really on us. Like, we don't have the power to decide whatever their fate is. Now, it is incumbent upon us, and I
Right.
think what the scripture is leaning us to do is to not live in negligence. Like, we do have a responsibility to train up our child in a way that they should go because we are what they're leaning on to become, whatever the best version of themselves is. So we have to be role models. We have to be leaders. Like, we have to, do those things by example. And in order for them to have the best opportunity to go on that path that they should go on, it starts with the parents. But it does not mean, even if we are perfect, they are going to go on that right path.
Right. And I think that the part that we look at that doesn't screw like mess us up in the head is the train up a child in the way they should go. Like that's something that we all would hear and understand and believe and agree with. I think it's the part where it's even when he is old, he will not depart from it, because we start to think like, oh, so then if I do it this way, then he's never gonna stray from God, and it's like that's not true. It means that they could at one point, but because you were so firm in the foundation of it, like they're always gonna know who God is, and God is gonna work in them to bring them back in however way that He plans to do that. So
Absolutely. We don't have the power to change anybody's hearts. We don't have the power to give you salvation or to, liberate you or free you from whatever turmoil you're in. All that we can do is hope to be as good as we can, influence you, serve as a role model, provide you with wisdom, lead by example, do everything possible to set you up best for whatever the plan that God has for you.
yeah, and again, the whole point of the whole misinterpreted scriptures thing is like we don't want you guys to think like if you read something and you interpret it a certain way that it's not God speaking to you, because God can certainly speak to you in a way that maybe we may not understand. So the whole, remember the Jeremiah 29:11, like we know the context of it, right? It was about the Israelites who were being exiled and they had to go to Babylon for 70 years and they were going to come back, and God made that promise to them specifically. And while that's not happening to us in our individual, like God didn't write that about our specific situations now, we can still like use that as like an understanding of God's character, right? Like He's gonna fulfill whatever promise that He set for your life. So, again, while it's not right, like directly written to us and about our situations, like just don't take like it's important to know the context of it all, and you can apply it, but don't apply it in a way that is dangerous and inaccurate, because that's not like what God wants for you to do.
I also
Um,
think that we have to do a better job in the church of not alienating folks just because they don't interpret scriptures correctly. Like I feel like people sometimes, talk from a place of privilege where you've had decades and decades of studying something. So
mhm.
just because another person who you might feel like is inferior when it comes to their spiritual intellect, that gives you like a license to, be critical and look down upon them and be condescending. We shouldn't do that. We should be inviting of folks, whether they are ignorant or not, and looking to get them to that same level we are.
Yeah.
And that also, this is a different topic. Con- I think insecurities play a part in that too. Some people, like church leaders, become really insecure when they feel like members are, I don't want to say more evolved than them, but can speak uh, as intellectually as them when it comes
Mhm.
to the gospel.
Right.
But that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So all that to say, like God can speak to you through scriptures, even if the context doesn't fit. But just make sure that you're knowledgeable about the context of it all, and you're not applying it in a way that's not glorifying God.
and we're still learning
And we're
too.
still learning.
Yeah, we're
There's so
not
many
up
things
here
that
experts.
we like. I have to. We look at the scriptures, and then we analyze it, and then we think about how it could be misinterpreted. So we're not. Trust me, I'm nowhere near knowing all the scriptures, but I think it's really fun to be able to do this, because then it deepens your understanding of the Bible, and furthermore will increase your faith and your walk with God. So
All right, so that's a
yeah.
benchmark segment we want to try to hit every month. Misinterpreted scriptures, again, not to put a light on those who have struggled with, construing the scriptures correctly, but just because it's a topic that I think we can get into that serves as like an educational portion of the podcast. Something really struck me today as I was preparing for the show, and it was a question that I asked Cassie, and I said, "How do you know the difference between God has closed this door versus no, God is just providing adversity in order for me to get to the next level
Mhm.
of what's behind that door?" And this actually goes back to Pastor Tony's sermon from Resurrection Sunday, where he's, and I don't want to misquote him, but he says something along the lines of like sometimes we get in the way of our own blessings and we don't allow God to fully develop what is new for us because we're so stuck on the past, and we have a little distraction of our kids coming into the room. So we're trying to put that fire out real quick. But um, I thought that was something that was very powerful. It resonated. Like we do get in the way of our own blessings sometimes because we're so stuck on the door that closed
Mm-hmm.
that we are not realizing there's something else, another opportunity being presented to us. So again, the question, and I would love for you to in on this: how do you know the difference between God closed the door versus He actually wants me to fight for this?
That was actually an interesting conversation because when you brought it up, I was like, wow, that's actually like a good one because I think time and time again I've come across moments in my life where I'm like, oh, this is too hard, or am I experiencing this hardship because God, this is what God wants for me? He's making it easy for me, or like you just said, it's some adversity that He wants me to overcome. So while I don't have the answers, I was trying to do a deep dive and see like how do I know if something is for me or if it's something I need to let go. And one of the biggest things that came up was like checking like your level of peace in the situation. So if whatever it is, right, whether it be a job or a person that you're into, um, we have to always go back like to scripture. And so John 14:27 was one of those things that came up when I was doing some research. And it says if you're like constantly feeling anxious or frustrated or drained with that specific situation, then maybe it's like a red flag that that's something that God is leading you towards letting go. Because God is always going to give you peace, even if you're experiencing some type of like storm in your life. So number one would be checking your peace, seeing how you feel like about the situation. Um, that was the first thing that I came across. The second thing was like noticing whether or not it like glorifies God. So underneath that, I had a couple different things. So or understanding why you want to fight for this thing or why you want to let it go. Like what is it built on? Is it built on like a feeling of control, or are you doing it out of anger or your ego? I think in its totality, you have to always bring it back to is it something that's glorifying God? So I think that's the big thing that you can look at it from. So how do I know if it's something that God wants me to let go of or wants me to like hang on to and fight for? Is the outcome or is the thing that you're fighting or letting go of going to be something that glorifies God?
This fascinates me because I don't know that there's a true answer to this. And I think this ultimately comes back to the core belief of our religion and our spirituality, which is faith. And you just have to have the confidence in your relationship with God that at some point or another, you'll get the highest degree of confirmation that what it is that you're doing is the right thing. Now, some of that is just like a gut instinct, but if you're someone who is just like, in between, like you don't really have a good radar when it comes to gut instinct, that can be challenging. But, some people will point to, as you mentioned, like multiple signs. Like if I keep
Yeah.
getting signs, maybe this is it. But those signs could also be
Test.
ones, yeah, those signs could also be markers that yes, you're following along this path, but you need to work harder in order to get to whatever the next level is. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like a thin line between those two things. Because sometimes, I remember I remember this quote from when I was younger, and it was like, and it's like the most ridiculous thing, but at the time it felt really smart. It was like, if you love something, let it go, and if it comes back, it was meant to be. Which
That's like a Mario song, right? Or is it Marcus Houston? If you love something, let it go, and if it comes back, then that's how you know.
maybe,
It is
um,
Marcus Houston.
but it's funny how like as a child it was like wow that's powerful, and then now as I sit here at 32, I'm like it's like really one of the dumbest things because
You're just letting everything go. You're
how
not even
many
fighting for
times
anything.
have you allowed something to come back and it was a disaster and more of a disaster than it was the first time?
True.
So like
True.
set it free, and if it comes back, like that doesn't even feel responsible to set something free that you really want.
Especially if it's like a relationship, right? Like, let's say I'm in a relationship with someone and they don't want to be with me anymore, and then they want to come back when it's convenient for them, and I'm like, oh, if it comes back, then that's how you know. So, but you're just being walked all over, and that's just you're just dumb at that point. So I think there's certain situations that it's
But then the flip side to that is there are relationships that can be resurrected. Like
right,
you
wrong
guys,
time.
yeah, like you guys had a falling out. You left, came back, and now you're flourishing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say this is so fascinating because like you really don't know that there's a true answer. It's instinctual, it's gut, it's synergy between you and God and the communication that you guys have, and ultimately you just gotta have faith that whatever the right thing to do, the quote unquote right thing to do, is gonna be revealed to you in a way that you won't be able to dismiss it.
And also, I know I brought up like how you would you can feel peace in the situation. Like if you feel feeling anxious and stuff like that, that might be a sign that you should let it go. But then I don't also want to dismiss the fact that sometimes God's will is not going to be something that you feel good about because that you are going to experience pain and it not be some because it's not something that you want for yourself. So we think about Jesus when he was about to be on the cross and he said, "Not my will." Like he didn't want to do that. Like why would he knew what was about to happen, and in spite of all that, he still prayed to God and he was like not my will but yours. And so in being obedient and all of that, he was able to come out on the other side of that suffering and that pain, which is life, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
resurrected. And so like you can use that in a way to like think about your situation, and while it's not as extreme, like whatever hard thing you're struggling with to be obedient, whether it's to be let go or to hold on to something and fight for it, knowing that on the other side of it God brings you through it, you're experiencing something new and even better. So I think it's listening to that voice, which is God, and praying is like is a big thing because he's obviously going to speak to you if you pray.
All right, so our pastor Tony says that's a great question. I think God will tell you if you should let something go, and often we know it, but try to hold on because we don't want to really be done for whatever reason. Those
Mm-hmm.
signs are the Lord telling you to move on and be done. Pastor Jamel Tony weighs in and says, "There is truth the Bible shares with us through the lives of people. When purpose is misunderstood, life becomes erratic." Absolutely. Life can become erratic. You can feel uncomfortable. And in moments of disarray, there are a lot of things that can be revealed to you. Sister
Right.
Carter says, if it's for me, God will lead me in it. Pastor Tony, listen to that voice, your conscience, and go. His will not always feel good for sure. Sheila White. That's good, Cassie. Pat on the back.
Thanks, Grandma.
Um, again, I don't know that there's a real answer to this, and I don't know that there's supposed to be a real answer to this because the foundation of what we believe in derives from having faith.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was, all right, if you do this and that, like this is what you're gonna get, there would be no reason to have faith. So it kind of just flies in the face of what everything that we've been taught. But I just thought that this was like an interesting thing to dive into, just because. How do you know a sign is
Right.
one to leave or one to stay?
I think just continuing to pray. I think it'll be
Because it could
it'll
be
be
anything.
revealed to you.
It'll be like your job. It could be the church you go to. It doesn't have to be like because we boggle this down to like relationships, but it could be
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
that. It could be the car you drive, the house you live in, like the state you live in. Like there are so many different ways to apply this to. So that's why like it's so important to try to get to a place where you feel comfortable in knowing, all right, this is what is being asked of me.
And I think even if we don't make the choice that we maybe were supposed to make, like following, we didn't know what God was saying, and we thought maybe He said to let go, and we fought for it, or He said to fight for it, and we let go. If we did the opposite, I don't think that like it's I think it's okay, like if we're still seeking God, he can still make a way out of this mistake because you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to we're not always going to follow this one path that he set for us where he knows we're going to like mess up. And so if we go a certain way and we're continuing to stay faithful and
Mm-hmm.
still lean on him for guidance, he can still bring you back to where you need to be despite the roadblocks that you put yourself in.
Absolutely. Powerful topic. Prayer. It may sound cliche, but it's real. By the way, I wanted to point this out because I was watching church last Sunday, and there was something. Before we get to that, I want to put a bow on this topic. There was something that Pastor Tony said that struck me, and I felt attacked.
What?
He said something about one of my favorite sayings, and I felt attacked. And I was like, oh no, we gotta address this on public
Airwaves.
platforms. We gotta get to the bottom of this. But before we get to that, Anthony White says, Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So you talked about your path being directed. Sarah says maybe lessons being presented multiple times until you learn to let go and let God.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it is okay, even if we go down the path that we weren't supposed to go down. Eventually, we will end up where we're supposed to go because God is like our GPS. Like He's gonna find a way
Turn left.
to where we
I
go.
said turn left.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
like
then
okay, I
He'll
still went
reroute
right.
us.
Yeah.
So Pastor
We'll still find a
Tony
way.
said, because one of my favorite sayings, and I utter this during prayer a lot, when the blessings when the prayers
When the
go
prayers
up,
go up.
the
Oh
blessings
yes.
come down, and like rightfully he just challenged this idea that we pray out of expectation that something is going to happen, as opposed to just a sincerity and an authenticity to just praying just to be thankful and to say, just because you are you. And the reason why I felt so attacked was because you know this. I like that saying. When the prayers go up, the blessings come down.
Yeah, and then we
That's
talked about
that's
how,
something
but that's something that can also be interpreted
different.
differently. Like, what do you mean by the blessings come down?
So what I wanted to say was to defend that ideology, or to just defend that statement. When the prayers go up, or when the praises go up, I should say, when the praises go up,
Right, right, right.
the blessings go down. I kept saying prayers, but it's when the praises
Praise.
go up, the blessings come down. Ironically, I'm like, this is my favorite thing, and I'm misquoting it. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. What if we redefined what blessings are, and instead of looking at it and saying it's just blessings,
It's like
we
tangible
call
things.
blessings God. So instead of it being something tangible, we say it's God. So we then rephrase that as when the praises go up, God comes down, which is something that we are doing. We're inviting God into our space. We're inviting God into our territory. So instead of looking at it from when the praises go up, houses, money, wealth, prosperity comes down, we're simply saying when the praises go up, God comes down. And God is who we're talking about when we refer to the word blessings. How about that?
How about that, Pastor?
What your thoughts?
I agreed with you, and I just said I
No,
think
but
it
we had
just
this conversation
yeah,
off the air.
and we did
So
have the conversation, but I think like again we went back to the whole thing. It's about interpretation because we weren't saying that Pastor Jamal was talking about the tangible things, but it was just like I wonder what people actually think when they hear that. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. What exactly are the blessings? And people look at blessings in different ways, but from your perspective, like you said, look at it as God coming down, and you when you praise or when you pray, you're inviting Him into your space, and that in and of itself is a blessing, and so it
exactly,
applies.
especially when some people show up to the temple,
Hi, Titi Janet.
show up to the house of the Lord in expectation, because that's their safe haven. It's like, man, what a week I had. Like, I really need God in my life. I really need to go to church. I want to hear from the singers. I want to hear from the praise dancers. I want to hear from the preacher. So when I say when the praises go up, the blessings come down, it's really me asking God to be invited into this house so
Right.
that we can have a time that is desperately needed for us. Desperately needed for us. So yeah, that was just something. Curious your thoughts, Pastor Tony, as Maverick invades our space.
The takeover with Ty and Cass. And Matt, say hi, baby. Say hi. Okay, you're gonna have to go back over there. Okay, we're almost done. Go.
No.
And they about to witness something crazy happen. Go, go, go.
No.
All right.
So last topic we wanted to get into before we get on out of here tonight. What are some relationship and marriage stigmas?
Oh, we're not gonna
Relationship.
do the one about judging.
We'll save that for the next episode. But I did want to get into what are some relationship Oh, but does God come down? But I see your view. It's definitely a view to explore. Yeah, I guess when we look at it, like, are we making it technical as far as God coming down? We were always like our minds just perceive God is in the heavens, like God is upstairs, like the man upstairs. So just by that technicality, we're saying God come down from your throne. How about that? Does he come down? Yes, from your throne.
In
He comes
spirit.
down from his throne in spirit. But yeah, that is something that we can definitely get into another day. Some marriage. We are being attacked.
We are currently being attacked. Baby, 5 minutes.
We are under attack.
5 minutes, go.
How about you? Well, if you pick him up, he's not gonna.
But then Noah's gonna want to come too, and he's upset about it.
You could come.
You want to come? Okay, but we can't do the crying on camera because this is not a drama. Come. You're tired.
All right. Some relationship. What are some relationship and marriage stigmas?
There's so many. They're good. They're good. Good ones, and they're bad ones. Let's do
Okay.
the bad ones.
Let's start with because we love negativity
We
here.
love negativity.
Um,
Hey,
the longer you're with someone, it becomes stale. That's a
Yeah.
stigma.
the passion dies. You become roommates.
Mm.
You don't have sex.
You don't flirt.
You don't flirt. You just the effort goes away. It becomes routine.
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity.
Why though? Why is that a stigma?
I guess
Is
it's
it
through.
true?
I guess it's through experience. Like in order for something to have become a stigma, a lot of people will have experienced it. Oh my goodness.
Be so for real.
This
Okay.
this is not really happening, is it?
This is very
This is why we really try to tape these things, but it's all good.
All right. So, why the stigma exists? So it exists because when you get married, like it's not like rainbows and butterflies all the time. Though marriage is a beautiful thing, but then you have things happening like the real life stuff. You have kids, you have work, you have bills, you have stress, and it drains all of your energy like all of the time. And I think once you put in effort in all those different departments, you don't have the energy, and so you kind of become you start to prioritize things in a way that I think more often than not the spouse ends up being on the back burner because your kids, like, who else is gonna take care of them?
Well,
Like,
what
right,
if you don't have kids?
Okay,
What
if you don't have kids, your job becomes demanding because you're at the age where I feel like oftentimes when you get married, you're in a space in your life where your career is it's very pivotal. Like it's something that you're either progressing or you're just dealing with different challenges, and so you put that, or you're working on your own personal goals. There's different things. There's different reasons. You need to stop singing, baby.
There are so many
Go.
reasons as to why relationships are very, very challenging and variables come into play. So, one thing that we seek to do is not to just acknowledge that a problem exists, but we want to be solutions oriented. We want to provide some positivity. We don't want to be all doom and gloom.
So we acknowledge that those things happen in a relationship or marriage, but there are ways to remedy that.
and provide a spark.
A spark. We love a
As
spark.
Pastor Tony alluded to, still have to find times to date each other. Like
Yeah.
everything you did to court the person should not just be eliminated because you have them. Now, granted, if we've been together for 15 years, like
We
it's-
just made 15 years on the 21st of April.
it's impossible.
You're not even like smiling about it. You didn't smile at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So
I was
we
in the
just
middle.
made. Let's do it again. We just made 15 years.
Congratulations to us. Congratulations
still
to
didn't
us.
smile.
I'm smiling.
He just said, "Oh, keep the same energy."
No.
15 years ago, when you asked me to be a girlfriend, you was dumb hype.
But I was in the middle of a thought. So
Okay.
it's impossible to expect that you're gonna have that same flair that you did 15 years ago because everything was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
It was being introduced to you. But you do have to find ways to spice it up, jazz
Yeah.
it up,
Yeah.
be innovative, be creative,
Mm-hmm.
like those types of things.
Yeah.
Finding time, like we talked about dates, surprises.
Like
The-
leaving a little note on the mirror. Remember when I did that for you? Or like leaving a note next to your stuff for the gym. Like little cute things that they weren't necessarily expecting. What are you laughing at? Oh,
He said moon went down, honey dried up. Bishop Jake said that years ago.
yeah.
If you don't continue to nurture the relationship, it can become stale, boring, dry. Yes, it's like an investment. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a crop. You got to continue to water it.
Right. And like making sure that you're intentional about it. So like setting up these dates and planning it. Um, I was reading and they were saying that some people plan moments for intimacy, like making it like on their schedule and calendar. And it sounds funny, but and I think that if we were to have the app were to do that, it would be funny, but like I don't know, like cute but funny because it's like why are we scheduling this? But knowing like busy lives and stuff like that is just
I don't know how I have mixed feelings about scheduling intimacy.
no, yeah, but like it won't be like 7:36. Let's have sex. It's just like let's watch TV together. Let's cuddle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's little things that because why would you skip and go right into that?
I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like a doctor's appointment.
Right,
Like
right, right,
something you
right.
just like.
So
All right, let's do it.
but
to get
then
it
lead
over
up
with.
to it, right? During the day, you leave like you flirt with them or give them a compliment or wear the perfume or cologne that you know he or she likes, and you know things like that. That's and just be playful. I think being playful is one of the things that keep
Oh,
your relationship alive.
yes, a sense of humor. Don't be so damn serious
But
all the
also
time.
be sensitive to someone when they're like going through something. Like, oh, you're so sensitive. Like you shouldn't do that.
But I'm saying like it is like the relationships that laugh. Like
Yes.
y'all gotta be able to have fun and make jokes even on each other.
Yeah.
I could make a joke about you, and
Yeah.
you don't gotta take it seriously.
Right. Right.
We could talk about these bad kids. Like we could do that and have some fun and still love them at the end of the day.
Right.
We could watch shows that make us feel good. I sacrificed yesterday an NBA game, which right now we're in the playoffs, and I'm doing shows every day on the playoffs. I sacrificed an NBA game last night to watch a show with my wife because we hadn't bonded in quite some
You
time.
know what's funny with that? Because he was watching the show, but he had his phone there with the game on.
But I wasn't actively watching the game. It was like more of a passive watching. It was muted, and it was like a duck down just to see like anything significant happen. No, but
Okay.
95% of my attention was on the show,
Mhm.
and I think that's a big deal.
Okay.
We have forehead and shirt jokes over here. Yeah, make fun of
Yeah.
your partner's appearance. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah. So talk about your issues that you're having if you feel like there's some type of because like I said, there are gonna be seasons where you go through it. It's gonna be dry, and like if you don't communicate those things, then you're only gonna prolong that.
Act
And
shy. That's funny.
no,
Are you-
that's actually like
But
true.
are you able to act shy?
You can like. I think you can act shy. Like stop. Like if you compliment,
Yeah,
like, you're
but
like stop. And then you're like continuing to flirt, and you're like, you know,
But
whatever.
that-
But it's stupid. But like it's very like young.
That's so
and
hard.
It's young and playful.
It's hard. It's really hard to act shy and be good at it
Mm-hmm.
because like the flip side to that, acting shy and being bad at it is like, oh, you're just so
Like okay,
stupid.
no, I'm not even turning
Yeah,
on.
like
And
you're
like,
so
forget
stupid.
It.
So that's why I say it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I like that though, Sister Carter. Act shy.
I like
because when we first started dating, you were very shy.
that. I was acting shy.
Oh, you did a really good job acting.
Thanks.
You were really, really shy.
Thanks. No, I really
Uh,
was shy.
But now, I mean, it's been a complete 180. It's just like bashful. I'm just kidding. See, but joking we talked about, right? Sometimes you gotta make room for jokes.
Let me get started on the jokes.
Yeah, so you gotta
Go on
Keep-
first dates again. People
keep the
said.
spice alive.
Remember what like why you started.
Hmm.
Things that we like used to enjoy. Like we love playing handball together in sports. And so even though we're probably not as good as we were back when we were 16,
Yeah.
you know, we can still do those things and rekindle that flame.
You know what helps rekindle flames? Extinguishing bad attitudes. That is like, man, I read that somewhere. They're like, yo, if you want to rekindle the flame, get rid of the bad attitude. That'll
You
go
know
a
what
long
helps
way.
you have a happy wife? I mean, a happy life. A happy wife. So calm down over there. And then the last thing was just to make sure that you invite God into your marriage. So we will be completely honest with you. I think we've always had like a spiritual,
So I guess we're boring because
We're
this
very
dude
boring.
like can't stop yawning.
we've always had like spiritual life together. Like we would pray for each other. But I think there was a point where we would tell each other we were gonna pray with each other out loud, and I had this feeling of not insecurity, but I felt very
Insecure.
shy. No, I felt very
You were acting shy.
I was acting shy. No, but I just felt like when it was time to pray and it was a very vulnerable thing for me, I didn't want to do it out loud. I wanted it to just be in my own kind of space. And so whenever it came time for us to pray together, I didn't want to pray out loud just because I just felt weird about it. And so like as time went on, like now we pray together and like we pray out loud and I don't feel any kind of like shyness or like anxiety with doing it. And I think that it definitely like strengthens our relationship, not only physically and like being intimate, but you can pray about certain things in your marriage, like what you want for each other and like the things that each other may be struggling with, and it helps you grow together. And when you grow spiritually, I feel like if and I always said that I feel like if you and I were to grow spiritually, like I feel like we could take over the world. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And so yeah, I think always inviting God into your marriage or relationship, because ultimately like he put us together.
And
so.
you know what also helps?
What?
Doing a podcast together.
Oh.
Every month, final Tuesday of the month, Progressively Becoming Studios on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You do the podcast. It helps sow the seeds of a blossoming marriage. So shout out to the pastors of this wonderful ministry, Jamel and Lakeisha, for giving us this opportunity that we love to do. I think that is very, very underrated. Like, we look forward to doing this. Like, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. I know there's some like pre-show stress because there's like
tech issues and like the
production and making sure the kids are accounted for and all those things. But in the end, we put on what we think is a show that can be rewarding and hopefully,
not boring
impactful to people.
To some people, but to Maverick, it's very boring.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys.
We're very, very
tuning
grateful.
We had a phenomenal time.
I also wanted to just mention one more thing about the last thing we talked about.
Just cut me off.
Because I think that it ties everything together.
That is.
So it was about. Let me just.
You know
go.
what that is though? That's basically what I have to say is way more important.
It's
than what
not,
you have
but I'm
to
gonna
say.
forget it. And it was the ending of the last topic.
Wow.
So it was anyway. So anyway, like I was saying, give me the mic. So we talked about like marriages and like it drying out and having those seasons and like how it's normal, but you can work at being better at it. So we wanted to mention that because it's like similar to your relationship with God. And so there are going to be times where you feel dry seasons and dry spells and you feel lukewarm as a Christian, but you need to be intentional. You need to put in the work to get back to that because God is always there waiting for you to, reach out to him. And so similar in a marriage and a relationship, you guys are there for each other and you guys have to both put in work to make the relationship thrive. That's what I wanted to say. I feel like it was worth it.
I felt like we could have done without that. To be
Are you
honest.
serious? We could have done without God?
I'm just kidding. What I wanted to end with
I'm done.
is really what I should
I'm so done.
started with. And that was, look, we talked about joking around with each other. What a time we had on Resurrection Sunday in church. That was so amazing. I thought you were phenomenal during your offertorial prayer. Like you were excellent.
Thanks.
We had the
Thank you, Sarah.
dedication. We had the dedication service to both Noah and Maverick. We had
But he still has not been delivered.
We had just a surprise announcement of a baby arrival. So shout out to Willie and Jenna. Ooh,
we did not.
Ooh.
This is where we cut it off. I wish we had those things where you could like dump it 15 seconds.
Yeah, edit that part out.
If you're here, don't say anything. Honestly, just this is why you can't gossip with this man.
If you know, you know. Wow.
That was
so. Anyway, that was fun. Sunday service in the sanctuary with all the peoples. Some folks that I didn't know. Obviously, a bunch of people that I vibe with. But that was a fun time. We had a blast. So shout out to TPOE for always doing it. I'm so proud of what this ministry has become. And it only gets better from here.
Yeah. So next Tuesday, we'll have our pastors back with Progressive Becoming Podcast. Allegedly.
Because they're the type that puts out the announcement.
Not too much on my pastors.
30 minutes before.
Calm down.
Like, hey, We are not gonna be.
No.
It's like, hey, we're not gonna be doing
You
the
know what?
podcast
We need
tonight.
sometimes
but
we need a
tune
personal
in.
day too.
But tune in to tomorrow night. We'll have the prayer service. We will have discipleship universe. It's always like that type of post. Like, hey guys, sorry we're not gonna be able to go for it tonight. We don't really have a valid reason.
That's not true.
We just don't want to
You
do the
don't
podcast.
know.
I'm just kidding. Listen, what did we talk about? We talked about
Yeah, but
joking
not
around.
everybody understands.
We
your
talked
sense
about
of
joking
humor.
around. See, that's what we.
There
That's
are
what-
times where we come in
we
to contact with
frauds.
random people, and he'll say a joke that like people don't get.
But these are not random people. These
I
are our
know
family
that, but
on a
still.
show. These are our people.
I
How do we just do a
know.
whole 30-minute sermonette on being able to joke around and invest in your partner and have emotional fruitfulness, and we can't even tell a joke?
Look at Maverick's face.
See, he's even getting in on the humor.
He's like, I'm sleep though.
He's even getting in on the humor.
Say, Daddy, you have a big mouth. You can't trust this one. Yeah, y'all really be doing too much, but y'all will see them next Tuesday. I believe it.
Can we stop moving the table, Maverick?
It's Maverick's foot.
Yeah, Maverick, chill out. All right, that was fun. We
That was
appreciate you guys for tuning in. Off the rails. We
Apparently
had
it
a,
wasn't a secret, so I think we good.
but we don't even have to refer to it anymore. It's like,
Are you embarrassed?
No, it's just.
I think we should go. I think we're doing too
you know
much.
what
It's
happens?
8:01.
You know what happens sometimes.
You
And
just have word vomit.
this really gets me in trouble. Like, we're working in radio. It's like everything is content.
Yeah, that's what you need to be careful.
So there are times where you just say things and you're like, man, like I don't know if, like, was that something that we were supposed to talk about? Was
we
that
need to
just,
put a couple filters on you before we
yeah,
start.
was that like you just forget where you are, and that's the power of the chat. You guys make me feel so comfortable. I just sometimes get lost in conversation, so I love rocking with y'all at the end of the month every Tuesday in the chat. Progressively Becoming Studios, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Give us a follow, like, share, subscribe. What's the announcements for the rest of the week? What we got?
We talked about it already.
What we got though? Wednesday? Put us on.
I don't even know if we had Wednesday. Did we have it last week? Because it was canceled. So I don't know if we're on for this week. I don't-
Thursday?
What? Oh my God, we gotta go because they want to come in here.
Thursday?
Thursday morning devotions. Check our Instagram and Facebook for more for updates. We're gonna post tonight, so we have to reconvene with our pastors and the admin team to discuss because again, shakiness on all ends. But we love you guys. We appreciate you, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Say
We will
bye.
see you next time. Have a good time. Have a good time.
Bye.